Hello, I'm Refik Anadol. I'm a media artist and director, and this is Minded Podcast.
Rafik, your work has been described as turning invisible data into visible poetry, which that's quite a nice way to describe it. In a age overwhelmed by information, you have found a way to transform in something profoundly human, even beautiful. How did you first realize that data could not just be functional, but emotional?
I think it was a very early age realization, I will say, because as a child, I mean, I grew up in an amazing family, and I'm so grateful that I have lots of family members as teachers. So learning to learn was like a default network mode for my mind. But I got my first computer. I was 8 years old, Commodore. And I remember that like was an amazing 8 years old gift that I think that completely changed my understanding of machine as a friend, machine as a collaborator, games as like a places to be inspired and imagine new worlds. And also I would say the same year when I watched my first science fiction movie, Blade Runner. I mean, I think they all emerge somehow. I think in my mind, and since then, I mean, in the Blade Runner, when an android says it's not your memories, it's someone else's memories, that was like a type of data. When I think about computer games, like when I was like designing levels or like changing behaviors and so forth and programming in the most simplest way ever, but still has an impact on the game, I believe those are like the very fundamental start points. But of course, 2008, I was undergrad, my last year in as undergrad. I remember in an amazing class with a Peter Weibel, a very much an important uh, mentor, hero in the media art scene. In his class, I think I coined the term data painting, 2008. In this class, it's the first time I use a software called Pure Data, open and free software for most students and academicians or musicians. You can connect a sensor, and sensor data comes into the surface, which, zeros and ones and bits and bytes. But I was so inspired that making invisible visible and taking data beyond just a number, but think as a memory. And that memory can take any shape and form, any color, any speed, and detach from the Newtonian physics. I think opened my mind. And I cannot forget this feeling of inspiration that applied to our work.
And that clicked for you right away because sometimes when you have a great idea, you know you have something good in front of you, but you just can't really articulate it, right? You don't know how to make it functional or to
Mhm.
manifest it. For you, was a similar process, or right away you knew exactly what to do with it?
I knew that it was an incredibly exciting field of imagination, especially digital arts, because I can't draw properly with a pen and pencil, but I learned how to compute in the mind. I learned geometrically, algorithmically, programming logic of how pixel and voxel, how digital native ideas can grow in screens and beyond. So to me, computer graphics is a starting point, and digital tools, 2D, 3D graphics, and then typography, web design, and then photography, videography, nonlinear editing. Like I try to be really immerse myself as much as medium to really understand the complete practice. And I think it was very important for appreciating the physical world by analog photography and then develop on top of it. So instead of just jumping onto something completely virtual, I think the analog context give me much more respect to like where the photons of the photography that you can record the memory to like bits and bytes and eventually like AI's learning algorithms. That I think was a very important path.
Were you able to see the possibilities in 2008? I mean, technology was fairly, new when we're talking about digital art and a lot of the stuff that we're looking at it right now with AI, but could you see the potential?
I think it was new, but I think as I love science fiction, I think there's a lot of room for science fiction lovers that doesn't matter what technology can do now, but it's kind of a remembering the future. Like you always like are ready for like what can go much inspiring than what we have, like what happens quantum. Like I mean, the idea of innovation, discoveries, and imagination. I think through sci-fi, very early ages, still makes you wonder ahead of what technology can do for humanity. I think that was where I feel like I knew that. For example, 2012, when I got my Microsoft Research Award as a student, um, I was saying on the stage, one day buildings will remember and dream and hallucinate. And when I was saying that, maybe I am not framing as a machine learning algorithm, but I'm framing that the building as an entity, as a living organism, will connect its mind and some memories to another thing, and it will make it happen. So those are, I think, very much a lot in my practice so far, last more than a decade.
You often talk about science fiction in a lot of movies. How much do you think, as society, we try to imitate art? What I mean by that, like when we see Blade Runner, how much do we want to live in that world? Not specifically that one, because that one is a little bit of a dystopia, but that see that technology in reality in our lives. So we pursue those things to build and make it reality, so we can experience as well.
I think this is the magic of the cinema. I mean, cinema is an incredible form of art that I think takes something not real because of an incredible imagination and the practice itself. It turns into something real and feels real, but doesn't. It's not real. So this is an incredible practice. But if I think about AI at the moment, I mean, I think that we are in this new era. So I don't think we can just call it AR, VR, XR. Those are like, to me, last decade's great form 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 findings or name findings for technologies. But I think right now with AI, we are creating realities. Each AI model, sound, image, text, whatever's, they are just creating a reality, a memory, an experience in life. And I believe that we can call this generative reality, because we are generating realities with these tools and with these like practices, and then someone can really think as like a reality itself. And I think this is fascinating. Like also science fiction was doing this in the cinema. When we watch a beautiful movie about whatever the context and discourse, it can generate a similar thing. And I think now we have a camera in the mind of a machine, which I'm calling it latent cinema. But I think that there's like a loss of space there to explore and infinite dimensions to fly through and find new meanings and purpose. So it's incredible time to like imagine new worlds.
It is fascinating time. And I think one thing that your work really connects with people and perhaps has something to do with your passion for cinema
Hmm.
is the emotional connection that
Hmm.
you translated to your work. And that seems to be what really sticks out. People can see that and they know there's a machine involved, but also there's a
Hmm.
human
Hmm.
touched. For you, how important it is during the process to make sure that you convey certain emotions? Are you pursuing certain emotions specifically, or you kind of let the art speak for itself and see what the person, the subject, is experiencing?
Great question. So number one, if I come back to my the reason I do art is I do believe art is humanity's capacity of imagination. And I do believe that it's art should be for anyone and everyone and any age and any culture and anyone and any everyone. And I start this as world, as earth, as universe as possible. And I felt that especially in the age of AI and machines programming our lives, and you know we are seeing most likely a machine every day talking with machines in between them and with us and with others. The first thing we see in the morning is a machine, the last thing we see at night is a machine, and our life is like in between those worlds. The machine and the software, the hardware, the systems, we completely change as humanity. I mean, as an artist, I witnessed the birth of internet, Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, AI, quantum computation, and more. Of course, I just reflect back what I witnessed as a human, but I never left the idea of a being human. So I'm not like inspired by, oh, another techno fetish, cool, whatever algorithm or a system or service. It doesn't move me. What moves me in the idea of a human machine collaboration, I feel like there's this magic. As soon as we expand our mind and soul, if possible, there is this magic and the magic of art making, imagination. And I felt that also incredibly honored that as soon as we push the buttons that never done before, when we go places that are never done before, there's this moment of like, come, look what I see, what I feel, the sharing moment. And I think they all combine together. But I never leave this idea of a human machine collaboration. I don't believe the future is just machine doing something for us. Such a boring future it is. But I feel like when as soon as we as humans enhance our mind, our soul, our emotions, our context of life, the meaning and the reasoning and the purpose, I think there's a beautiful world. And I do believe that art can only happen if it touches the mind and soul. Everyone can be an artist, but not everything can be art. And I think that it's very important to remember that while these machines are cold, algorithms are boring, or whatever repetitive, like sometimes, like, things. But as soon as a human touch happens, and the meaning and the purpose, I think that's where that magic happens. And I'm trying to find those moments at mind and soul connected in a place and time through algorithms and architecture and neuroscience and whatever's. But at the end, it's a human machine collaboration. It's a place where humans, environments, and machines connect. And I'm trying to find those moments.
In your view, what does AI teach us about ourselves and our shared humanity?
So I do believe AI is an incredible tool that is a form of mirror, a perfect mirror, will exactly show who we are. And I do believe that the problem is not about AI, by the way. The problem is not about humanity. Because technically, if AI creates a problem, we can use AI to solve the problem, by the way. That's very, I think, fundamentally easy part. The hard part is, like, what else can we do with this? And I think I found this question much inspiring than staying in the dark and the doomsday scenarios and, like, oh my God, like, if I fell down, what happens if I lose my balance? I mean, this is very like a human instincts reflection. I don't think that we have a fear, hysteria, paranoia if we know something. If we know something, well, we have hope, we have joy, we have inspiration. So I am in the place where I try to learn what AI means, and then it gives this joy, inspiration, and hope. And that's what I reflect to my work. And that's how I use AI to create inspiration, joy, and hope. And I think it's possible to use AI to do incredible things. But I don't think we should be wishful thinkers or positive thinkers, because AI also means that it will profoundly change the what is reality means, what is creativity means. It will transform the context of privacy and free will. So we have to be very careful, of course. We have to be very thoughtful, questionable, critical, but also really ask the question, what else can I do with this? And I found that so infinite joy. And I am sure that many people like myself in that mind space, head space, soul space, that I think finding new narratives and realities. But to me, AI is a pure mirror for humanity, and how it's used is so important, and why it's used is so important. And therefore, I really believe that open source, and especially sharing how AI works, how models works. Is, by the way, it's very complex to make an AI work. Just for everyone, I mean, now me and my team for 9 years working with AI, it feels like a 90 years, and it's fascinating. Every morning is a new morning and a new work, a new research, a new thing. It's beautiful and it's ever changing. I think, but it's very hard. Like, it takes sometimes 1 year to clean data, because we only use our own data and we only create our own models, and it's a very different practice. So we're like a kind of an AI atelier. So to me, this is a very different discipline than, tech giants or research labs. But I believe to make art, this is the only way with AI.
There's a lot of things here I want to unpack. Number one is your idea that that AI is a mirror to humanity. I like that concept because that made me think that sometimes what we really fear about AI is ability to see our true selves, and sometimes we don't want to see that.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
that's something that came to mind. And I love what you said about an AI Atelier. Can you kind of explore, tell me a little bit more about that, how the idea came about and how is it
Yeah,
going? Because it's a completely different idea of how to create.
absolutely. So first of all, I'm so grateful for our important moments as a studio. When I moved to Los Angeles from Istanbul, my dream was open a studio. I just dreamed this idea of, no, I don't want to do something myself, egocentric. I want to detach ego from data. I want to create these concepts, contexts, feelings, emotions for anyone and everyone. And I found that to do that, first of all, I need to learn to be a world citizen. Now, as a studio, we are 20 people, can speak 15 language and 10 countries, and this gives us this beautiful vision of, like, multicultural thinking and diverse imagination. But 2016, I was the first artist in resident at Google AMI program, and that was fascinating start. I mean, almost 9 years ago, when AI was barely starting, like barely we are seeing the generative algorithms. I believe Ian Goodfellow's like GAN algorithms, and eventually NVIDIA supports on that field, and of course, eventually diffusion models and so forth started. But I think, or large language models. But I think what was amazing to me was 9 years ago when we did our first research on this AI lab idea. I asked the question, if a machine can learn, can it dream? Can it hallucinate? And the reason is, artists, I think, are always asking the question, what is beyond reality? And I think this question is very common, but answering is so hard, like how to answer this question. But I felt that AI is a fantastic tool that can learn from the memories that we can quantify and let them learn in some capacity and let them project these possible hallucinations and dreams and so forth. So that was the Atelier concept. And last 9 years, we worked with more than 5 billion images and 100 years long audio recordings and 100 thousands of books and maybe more PDFs about text data. And even last 4 years, we're working with the olfactory scent data. We're letting AI dream, hallucinate new scent molecules to smell the AI dreams. So the idea like starts with a small team of, yeah, again, we're a very small team, but we have a great partners. Like, for example, NVIDIA. Jansen Huang is one of our, and of course, entire NVIDIA team. So grateful for them that last 7 or maybe 8 years now, we are always crossing our paths, get incredible support by compute, by software, but we are breaking those things, by the way. There's no shortcut. It's not like, oh, here's your GPU, doesn't do anything. We just take the GPU, break the GPU, and break the hardware, software, reinvent something most likely that is never done in the AI space. Because artistic thinking is very different than scientific thinking, and most likely rewiring things in a fun way or different way. And that's Atelier place. There's no product service mindset. It's a feeling to create. It's an experience to imagine through the lens of art, science, and technology. And that is like only, of course, like at MoMA, for example, our project received 3 million people with a 38 minutes average viewing experience. And MoMA never received this audience before, but the artwork was literally dreaming every day an experience. We had two DGX stations, the AI supercomputers from NVIDIA, done their support to project. One was dreaming the AI dreams. One was computing the artistic competition that I have been programming. And they were like a meeting together to generate a new artwork. I mean, to me, that's like and it took, by the way, 2 years to make that artwork. So not like, overnight or some, ready code or whatever. It was like a huge research in that Atelier concept. So it's more about like finding those niche models, niche research that is really, really like a maybe small group of people trying, but the impact can be also as large as you can imagine. So it's a really different mindset. More like maybe a Michelin star, some restaurant chef moment, or a conductor of an amazing Philharmonic orchestra, or a cinema, but very similar mindset.
See, it feels like you have so many options and the options are unlimited. How do you focus to be able to find that specific niche that
Mhm.
you just referred to? Is you know what comes to mind to be able to zoom in and
Yeah,
dedicate it 2, 3, 4 years of your atelier studio dedicating to
yeah.
one project?
So I love focus and clarity in every part of my life, regardless of the art. I mean, anywhere I believe focus and clarity is super inspiring to have a vision, have a purpose and a meaning in the journey. So first of all, we only work with collective memories of humanity. When I say that, I mean space, nature, urban, culture, topics that belongs to everyone, not one person. And that really give me and team is like very clear direction that we only focus, like you can see in our 10 years of work, like cities and nature itself, the incredible nature, infinite possibilities, space with NASA GPL collaborations, or human mind, like we've practiced with neuroscience last 7 years now, or quantum computation, like 2021 with the Google Quantum AI team, and many more is coming. I think I always like felt that there's is always a space for us to focus. But again, the fundamental areas I detach ego from data. And it's a fascinating place to be because at the moment everyone is detaching ego to data to make another service. Here's your personalized whatever. And like cool, but this is not art making. And I think that space is very different. And we never like, change our compass. And also in our work, what is also very different, I will say, from a traditional art, in our exhibitions, we always show behind the scenes. We show where data comes from, which algorithm we use, who invented and for which reason, and why that system is working. And this, I think, created a safe and secure space for our audience. I mean, last 9 years, every single exhibition with AI, we never ever hide the process. While it creates some copycats for sure, but the idea here is like really create a safe and secure new medium. And I think it was so important. And I think it just create that concrete purpose and a clear path and a sharp focus.
You said earlier that clarity is so important to you for everything you do. Is that something that has always been the case as a kid? Is something that perhaps one of your parents had it and a trait that come to you along or throughout the years in your career, you developed this idea that everything needs to be in front of me in a perfect form so I can understand what I'm doing?
I mean, I would say majority of the artists are OCDs, right? I mean, with designers and I mean, many engineers most likely there's this like desire of like understanding chance and control because art is about chance and control, and you have this like a capacity of programming chance and control in the age of AI and data. But to do that, you need a reasoning and a purpose, but also let it go and let fail, let experiment, crash the software, let the like AI model collapse. This is the hard part because technically sharpness, clarity, and purpose and all this like very much a reasoning purpose of a scientific domain is very sharp, very concrete. I'm not talking about this because when to make art, that's not working like that. Making art means you break things. You use things absolutely the opposite way. Most likely you should not. You let the machine to crash. You let the screen to cry. You let the like, sound to be weird as ever that maybe you should not hear at all. But I think this is like a where the human imagination and the chance and control machines and chance and control programming comes in. It's a very very interesting space to be, and I feel that sometimes people don't know this mindset, don't know the digital artist, they don't understand that part too well because from far, oh wow, it's very algorithmic thing. Most likely everything is predictable. Actually, not. If everything is predictable in the practice, it's a very boring practice. I feel like how to make it unpredictable, how to find a new vocabulary, a new voice, a new color, new form, new pattern, is way inspiring than oh my god, perfect system, never sleeps or never whatever's. Um, it's really very exciting space to be with digital art, with AI data and algorithms. It's a really funny place to be.
Yeah, no. And an interesting, people usually see the end result, right? The
Yeah,
beautiful images, the exhibition,
yeah.
the success, the press, and all of those things. They don't see the behind the scenes, what it takes sometimes to get there. And that leads to a lot of failures and a lot of pushbacks. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with those feelings,
Mhm.
feeling that you're not quite where you wanted to be, the things are not quite working out how you wanted to, and that deadline is getting closer and closer.
Absolutely. I mean, it's this beautiful. This is the insecurities of making art, because I'm so grateful that we have an amazing audience across the world. More than 70 cities around the world, our work exhibited, and I'm getting these incredible responses in our exhibitions. Like just one example, in Serpentine Galleries in London, when we opened the show in February, I literally greet more than 1,000 people myself the first week. I just one by one, and I know it's not normal thing in the art world. It's not like something like, I mean, I still Hans Uri Orbis is still like talking about this like he went there and just talked with everyone, because the reason there is like it's really understanding what's going on, like why this work touched someone's mind and soul, what works, what doesn't work. So I think that's a very important dialogue. The other way is like I do something and put online or whatever, and it feels so egocentric, and which is incredible. Artists are doing amazing work, but to me, to really have the connection was that moment. What makes it hard is that moment of decision. It's done. I mean, when we put the work out on a building like Frank Gehry's Disney Hall or Casabatio Gaudi's building or MoMA, millions of people, it's frightening. Like there is this moment of it doesn't feel finished because the more, for example, Gaudi's Casabatio, living architecture, the concept of the Gaudi, huge respect for me to like his body of work, his legacy, and I know the city of Barcelona like respects him so much, and I want to make a piece through AI and data to respect him. Because at the moment, everyone with AI thinks that, oh my God, like nobody will remember those heroes of the humanity, everything becoming mushy in the mind of a machine. I said, like, no, like it should be the opposite. You should still be able to remember the heroes of humanity and still capture their like a vision and the genius and the wisdom and project it back to the society. And I think that was very heavy lifting. But when the project happened, when 65,000 people came, and when I hear their like beautiful reaction, it's incredible moment. It's painful to go there. It's incredibly hard, but when that clicks with the society, there's a magic there. I felt that people come to hug the building, and then okay, this is interesting, right? From a dream to reality, which I believe that's what success means for me, and that's I think very very exciting. But in between, so many failures, so many mistakes, so many unknowns. I think, and which makes art, I think, very special for humanity.
For you, what's the source of creativity?
I always, I mean, first of all, many. I think life. I think art. They say artists do not retire because life is the input for the practice until till the death in these dimensions. But I think what I feel like, um, it, I personally love the question of what does it really mean to be a human in 21st century, the age that we are alive. And that's one fundamental place. And that question unfolds to me many things. And one of them is, of course, science fiction, that I'm super inspired, the feeling of remembering the future. But I'm also very inspired by ancestral wisdom. Just recently, I've been working very closely with a tribe called Yavanava. They are from Amazonia in Acre in Brazil. So I have these mentors in my life that I learned that very important to understand life through the lens of very different perspectives. We as humanity can be very much stuck in like, basic lenses. Like we may be so limited in our perspective. We can be so safe and secure in our bubbles. But the life is incredibly rich and incredibly inspiring and exciting. And to have a perspective, the machines and algorithms, screens, I don't believe they really represent how amazing humanity is context and discourse. So I found myself traveling across the world, living in the Amazonia. For example, when I inspired by nature, I'm not just a lazy sitting on my keyboard mouse and like download bunch of images. Oh wow, okay, I got into that's not that mindset. When I think about nature, I really mean that. Meaning going deep in the jungle, no phone, no Starlink, no shortcut, no laziness, raw of nature, living the data, understand the life, respect the life, learn the culture, and then come back. And there, I got it. Why I do this, why I love nature. This is a part of, I think, inspiration I'm chasing in my life that I hope everyone can do because it's a fascinating perspective shift in the life in a good way.
How often do you carve time to find inspiration, to travel, to explore? Because as you mentioned, you have a team to manage. At the end of
Yes.
the day, you're an artist, but you're also a business person. You have
Yes.
something business to run. There's a lot of responsibilities that come along with that. And the
Yes.
bigger you get, usually they say, more problems or more opportunities or whatever you
Mhm.
want to call.
Yeah.
But how are you carving your time in the span of the year or the upcoming years that you still find time to reconnect, ground yourself, and to still be
Mhm.
relevant in a way that you can be proud of you as an artist?
Great question. So, number one, I'm so proud of my team because when we are building the team with my wife and partner, by the way, working and living together for 16 years, so it's an incredible journey together. We build a team in a way that it's not rushing or like nothing about like scale, nothing about like greedy, nothing about, oh my God, let's go so large team and get more projects. No, it was the opposite. How can we stay as humble as possible, as small as possible, but still maintain our practice, innovation, discoveries, but still create breakthroughs in the art and design if possible, but still be humble, be small, but make still breakthroughs. This is way harder than throwing an amazing team member to a problem. It's way harder than, oh my God, 1,000 people here making the same thing, copy pasting stuff. So it's not art. If you do that, it's most likely a product service or a very different mindset. But to make art, I believe artists have need to have a handprint, hands-on, know exactly why and how things are done, really and honestly, not like that, like really deeply. So otherwise, you cannot connect with the work. It's not honest. And it happened to many artists in the history. I know that when they scale, the aura, the work, the feeling gone. Um, I don't do that. I just don't believe that it's art anymore. That's why we just put an incredible group of team that are naturally connected. I don't have any like job like calls or whatever. It's purely natural. Some of them my former students from the UCLA where I teach last 10 years. Some of them amazing friends across the world, feeling similar like mutual like visions and dreams, beliefs. Amazing like backgrounds of people who have been practicing loving computers and future and humanity, all natural, like a zero an internship program like every year as a teacher for 10 years. Every summer we have an internship program, beautiful people around the world coming together, trying things, learning things, breaking things, sometimes staying, sometimes going back. But that's the mojo of the studio. It is absolutely not a startup, not an office, not a company. It's a studio. I think it's bottega. It's like atelier. Very different than any corporate verticals or whatever. It's a horizontal
Beautiful.
space.
Beautiful. Beautiful to hear. Now, you mentioned earlier about teaching for the last 10 years. I'm sure this is something that you enjoy quite a bit to
Hmm.
be able to share information and what you know. What do you see in this next generation in terms of characteristics, personality, dreams? I have the opportunity to talk to a few students before, and I feel a lot of them, they're not even students, they're activists. They're so passionate about what they
Yes.
do that
Yeah.
it's just beyond everything I've seen it before. So when you have an opportunity to engage with that, what are your expectations and the things that you think that next generation will be able to accomplish?
I think so. As a teacher of third and fourth years at UCLA and some amazing grad students and their like journeys, I see a very common pattern. I mean, I will say post and pre pandemic is a very, to me, significant change in the teaching practice. While pre pandemic, I was seeing a lot of quick excitement about technology. In post pandemic, I see more critical minds, more questioning minds. Why do I need this technology? Like, why do I need to use this specific software to make art? Why? And that is an incredible questioning mindset. And this answer of course in the mind of the student and the journey itself, but I didn't get this incredible critical mind. And this also opens up amazing responsible questions. As I mentioned, especially to be more precise, we know that there are amazing AI tools right now. For example, it's a Mid Journey or Dali and whatever, and all these amazing tools. But the thing that artists feel that, but this is the tool itself is the breakthrough. I cannot make another breakthrough inside a breakthrough because the same sentence, most likely, bunch of differences, high chance will create someone else the same thing. So it's a great sketch tool, but it's not the end goal. They felt that very deeply. Now they are challenging themselves. Okay, but how can I make a breakthrough in this such a challenging thing? I'm seeing this perspective so deeply in last 2 years, especially, which makes me excited that people are not like, I'm not sold for something extraordinary for humanity, sure, co something, co assistant, co whatever, but it's not truly making the art for me. Art is something way complex than using a system itself. Um, and these are very fascinating, honest feedbacks. How to answer them, beyond me, but
Mhm.
getting those critics out and then let them really like be have this vision is incredible. I'm very happy to say that um, there's a lot of wonderful creative minds coming will question those systems, question reality, and question what is creativity means.
Is it fair to say that sometimes the example of a great teacher is not being able to provide the right answer, but be able to teach them to ask the right questions?
Exactly, 100%, especially in the age of AI, way important than before the questions and then answers. Absolutely, yes.
So, what other things do you do besides work, creating. You share a little bit about your story with us, the traveling experience, the
Yes.
inspiration, all of that. But what else do you do for yourself? All the interests that you have, things that you spend time with your family, places that you like to go.
Yes, I am so connected with my family. I love my family so much. I have a deep connection with Istanbul, my hometown. So as far as I can travel, the work and the life allows me. I am absolutely loving the family connection. But also, again, as I mentioned, again, it's not a work thing. It's a really spiritual journey and an emotional experience and an intellectual journey in the forest. I love nature. Like nature is an incredible form of life, and it's I think the most inspiring thing we have, the most like intelligent thing we have. It's infinite. Like hiking, transporting to the worlds that I never been before, meeting people inside the nature. It's a pure joy. Like, and again, I have a very special connection with Yawanava family, and thanks to them, I learned a lot about Amazonia slowly. It's a large surface and
Yes.
incredible people inside the forest. I'm slowly learning this life there. And by the way, these people's, I mean, have can only speak 17 people their language. So not a work thing, but I really when I go there, I just look at me, the technology behind the humanity, and them, and the distance, and trying to close it in my mind. Like not like a work thing, not like a practice of the my job or something. It's a really very human instinct that I'm trying to find those as not a hobby, but a joy to connect. Cook with them in the forest, hunt with them in the forest, sing with them in the forest. Is a very different than the work what I do, but being human in the forest is something I felt last 2 3 years very special.
It's beautiful to hear. Oh, I'm from Brazil originally, and we all
Okay.
know about it, but doesn't mean you probably has experienced more the culture than many of us have. I've been to Manaus, but that's as far as it's been.
Huge
Yeah,
respect and love. What you have there is as I think one of the most precious thing as humanity can have, because I believe Amazonia is not the lungs of humanity; it's the hearts of humanity. The people inside is as important as our breath, our oxygen, or life sources, um, and it's incredible. It's just yeah.
Rafik, do you believe in God or the
Yes,
supreme being?
yes, absolutely. I believe in the creator, and I believe that unless someone disagrees with that scientifically, because I know that there's a lot of debate in the scientific community, but I believe in God. I believe in the creator, and I believe that we all as whole universe is way complex than what we can know understand and know. I have a respect to all religions. I have a respect to everyone believing God. I have a respect to all type of religions, everyone that believe in whatever their own world and imagination or reality. I have a huge respect.
Well, good to hear. Before I let you go, there's three questions I ask everybody who comes to the show. Now it's your turn. We need you to recommend us a few things. Okay. First, I want you to recommend us a book, something to read. It can be one of your favorites or something that you read recently. Recommend us a movie. Perhaps you have a
Okay.
couple of those for us.
Okay.
And recommend us our next guest. Who do you think we should invite to be on the show next?
Amazing. Okay, so I'm going to my first of all a couple of amazing books that I'm really inspired. So Steven Pinker's How the Mind Works, incredible. I think Steven Pinker is an amazing person, but How the Mind Works really helped me before I think about AI recently a lot. And from the movie, I have a huge respect for Grenland's From Devs to Ex Machina and all his like movies. I feel that especially Ex Machina and maybe Devs I will
Mm.
say as a series really opens the mind of behavioral interpretation of Hugh Everett's, which I think is very crucial to understand if the quantum computation becomes um, available soon. I think that's a great grounding for humanity. The third one was sorry.
I guess. Who do you think we should invite to be on the
I
show?
mean, okay, and maybe another inspiration, a hero, Demis Hassabis.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he just received an incredible recognition of their work at DeepMind for protein folding. He is my hero, and we are in a very close connection for some exciting things. And I believe that he deserves to be heard because In AI, I saw that he has a very clear positive voice, but not wishful thinking. He's reasoning by doing good things. I think we need people like him to show how AI can be used for good things.
Refik, what a joy to have you here. I mean,
Thank you.
I can feel your excitement from
Thank you.
here. Even though we're across country, I can see that you're very passionate about what you do. You're very generous with your time. You know, you're
Thank
very
you.
honest. And at the end of the day, that's all we want to be able to
Yes, from
connect
heart.
and see. And we can see that not only through your art, but also through your person. So I want to thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. It's been phenomenal to learn. And you know, next time in LA, we'll get together. We'll do something
Yes,
more
very happy
interesting.
to,
And
and
yeah,
happy to host in our AI museum in Dataland, opening next year. Very happy to host you.
excellent. We're gonna plan to work on that.
Amazing. Thank you
Have a
so much.
fantastic day.
Bye bye.
All right, we're done.
Amazing. Thank you very much for